Black Ops 6 just came out and you want to play it on the go and you have a Steam Deck, but it has SteamOS and you can't play Black Ops on SteamOS. So what do? You install Windows. Well, before you do that, I want to just give you some information on what to expect when you install Windows on your Steam Deck. If you're going to install Windows on your Steam Deck, make sure to either have a microSD or a dock that has a Ethernet port, because you're going to need it. Because while you're doing the installation process for Windows, the drivers won't be on your Steam Deck and you won't be able to connect to the internet unless you plug an Ethernet port or you have the drivers on a microSD card. Now, when installing Windows, you can either just wipe out the SteamOS part of the hard drives or SSD, or you can dual boot with Clover and have both SteamOS and Windows, but just note that both OSs will take some of your storage away. Also, do keep in mind that even if you do install Windows, you can always go back to SteamOS. The process to do so is easy. You just put the SteamOS installer on a USB flash drive, and then you can just reinstall it. Do keep in mind to have a good USB drive, because if the USB drive is not fast enough, the Windows installation may fail. So try to have like at least a USB 3.0 drive so that the installation process for Windows or SteamOS can go smoothly. Also, do keep in mind that when playing your games on Windows, the performance may be worse. The good thing with SteamOS is that they do certain optimizations so that games can run better on SteamOS than they would on Windows. If you do happen to go the dual boot route, just keep in mind that every time Steam updates the BIOS for the Steam Deck, you're going to have to reconfigure the dual booting or else it will fail. So now that we got all the precautions out of the way, what are the pros of having Windows on your Steam Deck? Well, for starters, the good thing is you can play any game you want. There's no restrictions for anti-cheat because you can just use that. Another positive is that you still have access to your Steam library. You can just download your Steam games and play them. Although they may not run as well as they did when you had SteamOS, they'll still run a little bit worse, but still playable for the most part. And did I say you can play anything? Because you can. Now, it's not all bells and whistles when it comes to installing Windows on your Steam Deck. There are a couple issues. For starters, Windows OS, specifically Windows 11, isn't that great as a handheld OS. It's still clunky to use. Sometimes the buttons don't work, but that's specifically a Steam Deck issue. So that sometimes when you launch your Xbox games, the controls don't work and only the mouse cursor works. The good thing is that the trackpads work great as a mouse pad. Another thing is, once you do install Windows, you're going to need software to use the controls on a Steam Deck. I use Steam Deck Tools so that I can configure the options. I pretty much made it so when I'm not in a game, I made it so that the right trackpad is my mouse and the click it is the right click. Then the left is my right click. So it's opposite, but it works. And once I open a game, then the controls become like an Xbox 360 controller, and then it reads it as an X360 controller. Some more cons about using Windows on a Steam Deck is, again, you have to install all the drivers for the Steam Deck to make sure everything works.
How about you get off your ass and give it a go?
When installing Windows, you do lose out on 3 features that you get in SteamOS. Number 1 is you lose HDR functionality. The HDR on the screen is not compatible with Windows, and you'll just be playing everything on SDR. Number 2 is you lose access to the microphone on the Steam Deck. So the only way that you can use a microphone while playing Windows is through the headphone port. Maybe Bluetooth, but I'm not sure on that. I read that if you use the headphone port, that'll work. The third feature that you use is the ability to suspend your games and resume them later. That's a feature that was made in SteamOS, and there's no such thing in Windows. So to sum it up, SteamOS is more of a console-like experience where you can just pick it up and play, whereas Windows is a bit more technical and clunky, but you trade the ease of use in order to play any game you want, like GTA Online or Destiny 2 or Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, and you can play your Game Pass games natively and your Xbox Play Anywhere games. But yeah, that's a quick video on the pros and cons and what you should know before you install Windows on your Steam Deck. I know it's kind of a niche video, but maybe you're thinking about playing it. And as a BTW, Call of Duty on the Steam Deck runs okay. The multiplayer aspect, it runs around the 50s, but I found that once you get into gunfights, there's a bit of a hiccup, and that kind of makes it a bit unplayable because if you're skipping frames while in a gunfight, you're bound to lose. While playing zombies, the hiccups are still there, but it's a little bit more forgivable because the zombies don't shoot you for the most part. Those manglers, they barely miss, but it's a bit more manageable. I try to run around and gather the zombies so you can see what the performance is. I even turn on the harder mode. I forget the name of it. So yeah, just so you can get an example of what it's like to play it on the Steam Deck. Zombies is a bit more playable than multiplayer. So if you want to play zombies on the go, this is definitely a way to do it. Just, you know, keep in mind that it may hiccup here and there. But yeah, that's the video. If you have any questions about running Windows on the Steam Deck, you can comment below. I'll probably go back to SteamOS because I only got a month of Game Pass for PC. And once that runs out, I'll probably just go back to SteamOS and just tackle my never-ending backlog. But yeah, if you liked the video, give it a like, give me a subscribe. I try to not to have any sponsor sections because I hate those, especially if you pay for YouTube Premium. It's like an ad, bro. But yeah, peace.